In fact, she actually had exculpatory evidence related to the election fraud that was outlined in the petition that was not allowed to go into the court. The petition was not brought to the floor, and as a result, Tina Peters was unlawfully imprisoned. My father, Dale Richardson, was actually tortured in the state of Colorado to suppress his evidence of treason against the United States, which was based on improper engineering controls which allowed for the spread of the COVID-19 virus, which was likewise created at Wuhan by Peter Daszak and the EcoHealth Alliance with the pathogen, which were handed over to the Chinese by the Winnipeg Biolabs. This created the circumstances for widespread election fraud. My father Dale and I are friends of Tina Peters, who has been politically persecuted for standing up for the liberty of all Americans. And she, as a sister in Christ, has been persecuted like I have for standing up for the liberty of all people. In the state of Colorado, women and Christians are being persecuted on monumental levels, and I'm calling for everyone to stand up for Tina Peters in every way possible, including using the Karis Project action plan to compel the state government to put the petition for redress of grievance to the floor so that Tina Peters can petition before the state house that belongs to the people. And if Colorado continues to deny a Republican form of government, we will implore that Congress and President Donald J. Trump initiate Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution, which guarantees a Republican form of government, to the states, and use that just power to intervene and provide what the Constitution has ordained. The time is upon us to come together and stand united as people, and let the world know that we stand together to preserve this perfect union for all Americans and our posterity. That is why, y'all already know, I'm going to leave you with my favorite quote. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who cannot be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as needle to the pole. Men who will stand for the right, though the heavens may fall. Ciao, guys.
All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the Karis Project. Kaysha here. Today we got my dad, Dale, of course, my co-host, and Kieran Keedle. He's actually from the UK. We're at his gym, and I actually first saw him from a podcast from Rory. If you guys know who Rory Sinat is, that how you say his last name?
Yeah, that's how you say it.
Rory Sinat. Go check out his podcast. That's actually where I first discovered Kieran. And I actually used to go to a gym down the road to do Taekwondo when I was younger. We lived down the road from here, so I think it's actually kind of coincident that you're so close, and it's kind of cool. So we have you. Welcome to the show. Why don't you tell everyone about yourself?
Yeah, my name's Kieran. I actually came here 7 years ago tomorrow. So the 7 years has just flown by. I actually came here a year before COVID, so I was all rosy, and then COVID came and the world turned upside down. I was like, oh, I'm in a different country with not my familiar sort of surroundings with that. And then, but I lived in Redwood Meadows and Bragg Creek since I arrived, and I came from London before that. And I've always been involved in Muay Thai. This is what I do. You know, it's my passion, whether it's coaching, whether it's promoting, whether it's managing. I do all those sort of things. I've been doing that literally since 1992. So over 30 years of doing that, training, whether it's fighting before that. So it is definitely my life. So when I came to Canada, I wanted to have and show my experience to Canadian. I always said about the Canadian Muay Thai and kickboxing, they have some real fantastic fighters here and athletes, but they never had the platform. So I wanted to open this door of bringing in not just my experience, but my networking in to expose them to some incredible talent. So we had some seminars in, we brought some great fighters in, giving them opportunities to fight on bigger shows and contracts. And 7 years, it has flown by, but I feel like I'm actually just halfway through that project of trying to put Canada on the map for what I do, right? But it's not just me, there's obviously you need a team to create that, right?
Oh yeah.
It's the same with your podcast, it's not just you, your dad, everything, right? So.
Oh, okay, cool. So what got you into like fighting in the beginning? Like, did you start as a kid?
12 years old, so 1992. I got a phone call from before the cell phones, right? Do you remember them? So the landline, and my mum answered the phone, and my brother was in university. He was in university in Manchester, and he's like, I've discovered this thing called Muay Thai. You got to put Kieran into it. Now, at the time, I used to play sports, so I played like football, soccer, right? Yeah. Played that and with friends and stuff. But I was always more of an individual person. That's just who I was in sports. Even though I enjoyed the teamwork company, I'd always, if we lost, it would be like, I wanted, if you lose, I take the blame. That's what I wanted. But it's a team, you start pointing fingers at other people. So I went to the gym. I found a local one in the newspaper then, right, a little article. And it was 15 minutes walk from my home. So we went to this recreation centre, and it was a squash court then. There wasn't many full-time gyms then, and I met my first ever coach, which his name was Sean Toomey. We're still dear friends now, so shout out to Sean. And I was on and off for a few years, because I was still playing with friends and, you know, video games and all that sort of thing. But I got to about 15, and I got offered a fight. Hey, you want to fight? And I was like, oh yeah, okay. So I was like 15 years old, or well, I was 14 actually, 14, and I just had this fight, and I fought in actually, the first fight I had, I actually fought in a very iconic venue in London called Bethnal Green York Hall, and I won the fight, and I stopped the kid in 3 rounds, and I just got this bug. It was weird, this feeling, you get your hand raised and you get your name called out. I'm like, what? I was in a change room, but really before that I was like, oh yeah, I'm just having a fight, like, you know. Yeah. And then that feeling, and then I got offered more fights, and I was taking it seriously, but not whatever. I had other activities in life and followed football quite a lot, and I was team captain, all that sort of thing for school. But I got to about 5-6 fights in, and I would help out the gym and help out the coach with other fighters. And I was a young kid, right? And then other gyms start talking about you. Hey, Kieran, when's your next fight? And it felt good. I was like, oh, I must be good at something, right? It must be good. Yeah. And then the bug took over, and it just, everything took over, right? Like football got pushed to a side. No friends' birthdays, you couldn't have your cakes, you had to diet. Not anymore, obviously, but you know. But you know, that discipline got installed because of my bug and passion for doing it, right? And it absolutely overtook me. I didn't know, fast forward, 30 years, it was going to take me to Canada and have my own gyms and facilities and all that. But I was always excited, and that bug and that obsession just got into my skin and my blood and my bones. And that was it. I wanted to try and get as far as I could, right?
Yeah, so just, you said you used to play soccer.
Yeah.
What position did you play?
Centre midfield.
Oh, good.
Oh, wow.
Centre midfield. So those days.
That's what I used to play.
Oh, there you go, yeah. You're a big dude. Were you a big kid too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so usually they'll put you back in defence, right?
I was defence.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So you'd be taking everyone out. That was your game, right?
But they put me in centre midfield because I was able to put the ball on the striker's foot.
There you go.
Right down, right in front of him.
So I used to play in front of the defence, and my job, because I was actually quite small when I left school, and my job was literally take the player out,
yes,
and then pass it out in the wing, or to the centre mid, who's like more of attacking midfielder, or the strikers that were basically more skilled and faster than I was. But my game was take out their best player. Yeah. Yeah, as you call it, a goon in hockey, right? Yeah. Take him out. Yeah, you know how it goes. Take him out. But that doesn't exist, that player anymore in soccer. They've took it out. Yeah. Because now they get touched like that, they fall over.
Yeah. I'm like, wow.
I know, but it wasn't like that before. That's the thing, you know. It's just a shame, but you know.
I remember when you get throw-ins and the elbows flying and things like that. Yeah.
If you go to a Sunday league game in England, that's when you'll see all that. It's good fun, right? You know, just people just punching each other in the ribs. But afterwards, they might even have a fight on the field. But afterwards, they shake hands. Yeah. And they have a pint in the local pub, and off they go, right? Yeah. That's how it was.
Yes, a lot's changed.
Yeah, isn't it just?
Yes, but yeah, I remember doing that because when I played, I had to run from my 6 to their 6, and that was pretty much the way it was. And yeah, you had to pass it up, but I still had to take people out, but I still had to help the guys up on offense. So I was always running.
And was that here?
That was in Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a decent place for soccer.
It's huge now.
Yeah.
So it's overtook, from my understanding, the last 12 months, it's overtook the youth. Is actually overtook hockey for the amount of sign-ups they're getting now.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason being is because of the influx of immigration coming from South America, coming from Europe. We don't play hockey.
Yeah, I know.
Right? So, and also hockey's so expensive.
Yeah.
I've got 3 boys, right? They all want to play hockey. I'm like, you're not playing hockey. You're getting a leather ball and you're coming in the gym, one of the two. You're not playing hockey. You know, like, it's crazy, right? How expensive hockey is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so it's a white collar sport, really. So you have to have either grants or you have to come from a sort of wealthy background to play it, which is unfortunate because there's some really good kids that could play hockey, but they can't
afford it.
the families can't.
The affordability, and I mean, with the way things are getting out now, like, I mean, the price of a steak has gone through the roof.
It's nuts.
Especially being in Alberta, like where they raise a lot of cattle, you shouldn't be paying that kind of money.
I know.
But it makes no sense.
No.
Because the first thing, so when I came from England, I said to the wife, right, don't worry about furniture, right? So because I had a house then, we're going to put it all in shipping and come over. Now we just buy it over there because we're surrounded by wood, so it must be cheaper. So when I got here and I saw a couch or a sofa, I was like, it's 5 times the cost of what it is in UK.
Really?
I'm not even joking. And I was like, but we're surrounded by forest. And then they start speaking to people and they'll go, well, they cut it here, the lumber, then they send it off to Mexico and it gets refined and we buy it back. I'm like, well, that makes no sense.
Yeah, because they close all the mills and stuff down.
It makes no sense.
Yes.
I know.
Well, when I remember this, it started in the 80s where all the manufacturing jobs started to go south to Mexico.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I remember, because I grew up in Winnipeg. Winnipeg was like the manufacturing hub in Western Canada.
Right.
And they built a lot of planes and stuff like that, and buses and so forth. And I watched so many places shut down and pack up and go to Mexico, and then they brought back service jobs like call centers. And they're like, oh, well, we just brought in 10,000 new jobs. I'm like, they pay minimum wage.
Yeah.
Right?
But those service jobs are gone now.
Yeah.
Because they're all shipped to India and places like that now, aren't they?
Or they're using AI.
AI,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right?
AI,
Yeah.
for real, yeah.
It's crazy.
And so then it's like, what did you do now? What are they doing? Now they're all fighting for the job at Burger King. Right?
Done. Yeah. I mean, I've never been to Winnipeg. I've got a couple of friends there that have gyms, but I heard they have a insane problem with fentanyl and homelessness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I always tell people Winnipeg is the place where you go to die, man. Like, it's a black hole. There's nothing
You're
in
not selling
Winnipeg.
it to me.
Sorry.
This is not going to get sponsored by Winnipeg Tourism, is it? That's all.
I was born in Winnipeg and go Winnipeg Jets, but I mean, like, it's not like you get stabbed downtown for $5 with a rusty spoon. Like, it's
When I was growing up, it was awesome, right? Like, it was a very different city. Like, we had a very multicultural city, but everybody kind of got along, right? It wasn't like the way it is now. And so it was there was that generation that we had, we all kind of got together, everybody respected each other because of what they did, not what they looked like or where you came from, or any of that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And so forth. And then you started to see a shift. Like, it was always bad. It was a blue collar town, right? And so forth. But then the drugs got out of control.
yeah, it's
And
crazy.
then, you know, there was always the issues with the indigenous there and so forth. And, you know, I mean, they had reserves that were like northern Manitoba, 5,000 people, fly in and fly out. Like, nobody knew what was going on there until I talked to a kid there, and he was like, yeah, there was like suicides, like in 5,000 people, they had like 10 kids one summer, just done,
Yeah,
right?
that's crazy.
And so most people don't know what's going on, and then they come to the city, and then they, you know, go to, some of them were doing well, they come into school, and then they get hooked on drugs, and that's it.
I've honestly, like, so in Europe or Asia where I lived, I'm not saying there wasn't drugs there. You know, you'd have the cocaine and weed, and there might be other sort of drugs, party drugs, we'll call it, right? But when I've actually got a story about Los Angeles. So when I came to Los Angeles about 12 years ago, I was doing some commentary for K1, an organisation called K1. It was a good friend of mine, Vinny. And while I was there, I did some seminars. So we taught some seminars. And a dear friend of mine, Brian, he gave me his car and said, hey, just drive my car around, right?
Yeah.
So we're in this place called Fontana. And we wanted to go downtown LA, right?
Yeah.
So we got in this little car, I'm not joking, it was like a little micro car. And we put our suitcases on top. and me and Vinny get in the car. But he didn't want to drive, so I drove. And he put in the sat-nav, and this is like before the phones with the sat-navs that gives you all the traffic. Anyway, he fell asleep while I was driving. I was like, fucking, this highway is insane. You know, it goes into all these different roads.
Yeah.
And he sort of woke up, like this, bit jet lag. And he said, just take this turning. So I just went, all right, thinking he's reading it, right? Anyway, we drove, got this little car. And I went, Vinny, we're in Compton. And he's gone. We're in this tiny little car, right? I just looked at him like this, and we've even got a suitcase on top of that. We're like proper tourists, right?
Yes.
We're gonna get robbed, right? And he's gone, just go through the lights, go through the lights. And I was like, oh God. So, you know, you see on one side, you've got the guys with the red bandanas, the other side, the yellow bandanas, you know, these, no problems really. And anyway, he just turned down this road. So we turned down this road, we went 4 blocks, and then we ended up in Skid Row.
Oh,
right?
geez.
And I'm like, what the? And it was like, you know, homeless with the fire coming out everywhere.
Yeah.
And then within 5 minutes, you're downtown in a gorgeous part of LA, right?
Yeah.
I just went, what's going on in my brain? It didn't compute, right? But that's the first time I saw fentanyl, right? I'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
And people talk about these zombies. And I actually thought in my head, when you're watching it from on your phone and how the world is, that can't be real, right?
Yeah.
I just didn't believe it, right? Because before you'd see homeless that might be on heroin, they might be kicked out of their houses, they might have drug problems, abuse problems, all these sort of things. And that still exists, of course, but this fentanyl, I've never seen it just take over a body. Like the shapes they create and...
That's because they're putting some other... I heard someone say that they put some other chemical in it because these guys are always trying to, cook up something in the lab, and that's what causes people to look like statues.
Well, I heard the source of it. So if you go back 20 years or so, apparently what had happened is you had cocaine, you had marijuana, acid, all LSD, all these type of different drug dealers, and a guy came in and said, hey, I've got this really cheap drug called fentanyl, and you put it in your drug, it will make it addictive. You won't even need to sell them anymore, and you'll make 3 times the amount of money by just coming to fentanyl. And of course it hit the streets hard, right? Because you could buy it for nothing, sell it for cheap compared to that. So the people who had no money or couldn't afford the other drugs could afford this, you know? And then when I went to Hastings, East Hastings in Vancouver.
Yeah, I used to live there.
Yeah, I stayed there, and I heard that I drove down the street, and first of all, it's sad. I want to help them all. I actually genuinely do. You know, that it's like they're not losers. It's sort of like this drugs just took them into something else.
Yeah.
Like before, you had homeless people, but now it's like homeless, but they're like zombies, and it's crazy. But Wednesday they get their check, don't they? They get their money from the government.
Welfare Wednesdays.
So Welfare Wednesdays. And then I found out that if you work in the police force, or you work in an ambulance or fire, you've got to work that night.
Yes.
Because anyway, I was downtown in an apartment, and every 5 minutes, woo, and I was like, what is going on here? Every 5 minutes from 11 p.m. till 5 a.m.
When I first went out to Vancouver, this was before my daughter was born, and you would go down East Hastings, and it was like New York City on like, you know, Friday afternoon, filled with people. But this is like 3 o'clock in the morning, right? That's how many drug addicts and that they would have.
Even that long ago, right?
This was. Because Vancouver's the warmest city in Canada.
Yeah,
so the homeless people will gravitate to there because it's easier for them to survive.
Yeah.
Because in Winnipeg, it's minus 40 in the wintertime.
Yeah,
it's
you'll
way
not
colder
live.
in the year.
Yeah.
So it's like if you don't have like a place to stay, and this is why the welfare would pay your place directly, because if not, you freeze to death.
Yeah.
Right? But there, they would go there, so if they had to sleep outside, it's there, and that's why you see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it seems to have gripped the whole of North America, right? And Kelowna, like, you know, one of the richest places, the most expensive and richest place to live, and all the celebrities are living there. And then you see this dark side to Kelowna. When I first went there 2 years ago. By the way, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous, right?
It is.
But we went there, and I was with the kids and that, and I took them there. There's a nice beach, and I just went for a little walk down there, downtown, and they're drifting again. And I was like, even here, they're here.
Everywhere in BC, man.
Yeah, nuts.
Everywhere in BC, and because they're pushing the drugs out, right? I can't.
Well, it's legal now.
Yes.
It's legal.
Yeah, I
You
heard
can
that.
do
There's actually a
anything.
place you can go
Yeah,
and you
to
actually
get
can give the drugs.
and the
right?
needles
and they
and
will say
stuff,
if it's
yeah.
safe or not and give it back to you. And then a safe injection place. They'll give you the crack,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
You can go and buy drugs. Like they have like literal drugstores where you can
Yeah,
go in and
dispensaries.
buy crack, fentanyl, whatever you want.
Where's that money going to?
What?
Where's that money going to?
Not to us.
You know, not back into the city, making it safer.
No, it's
You
not.
No. A government should never be involved in drugs. Like, I mean, I don't care what you say. Like, they shouldn't be involved.
Nope.
They should be
I
trying
agree.
to get people out of drugs by giving them constructive things to do. Because most of these guys, if you help them in the right manner, because I used to do drugs, and I, like now, at this point in time, I'd rather be dead than do drugs.
Yep.
Because it's slavery.
But they need people like yourself, with all due respect. They need people like you to be in those positions to help these people.
Oh, yes.
Right, that's exactly what they need. People who've experienced it. I don't know if you've seen in Italy what their plan is. They have a drug problem too, and they have a huge problem in Italy of all different types of things. But they've got this concept idea which could work because Canada's really big, huge, right?
Yeah.
Is their plan was to go into Rome and Milan and these places where there's homeless is huge, and get them off the streets,
Yes.
okay? Get them into coaches and get them into buses. And then in Italy, the problem is in Italy, all these small towns, everybody's left. Back in the day, you used to have your grandma there,
Yes.
and they all lived in one place. But now the youngsters need to earn money, so they go to the big cities.
Yeah.
Much like, people go to New York and leave the suburbs, right? So these little towns have literally no one living on them. So the idea was they're going to bring them to this little town, gate it off, fence it off, right, and make it into a rehabilitation centre, right? No drug dealers in or out, right? And the idea was to and give them a home, right?
Yes.
Wouldn't have to pay, give them a home.
Yes.
But what they'll do is every day the coach would turn up after rehabilitation, take them back into the towns, the cities, and give them jobs to clean up the city. And at 5 p.m, pick them up, take them back. And they were going to increase the tax by 2%. No one complained. Everyone was like, I like that idea. I don't mind paying tax when you see that as a result.
Yeah, a solution.
You can take your boyfriend, you can take your wife down the street at 2 a.m. and not be worried. You wouldn't worry about your daughter walking down the street.
Yes.
Yeah, and you would pay for that, right?
Yes.
And that was a good concept. They'd clean the streets, they'd get these people in addiction clinics,
Yes.
get them clean and try and work on them, right? Give them homes, their places to stay. Not a bad concept.
I would even go further. I would take those people and I would get, because a lot of those small towns had factories and different things
Yeah.
like that. Get them to start rebuilding that stuff.
I agree.
Because we need to start going back to bring manufacturing back into our country.
They could certainly work on the sawmills, hey?
Start
with that one. That's the first one. I don't want to pay $2,000 for a two-seater sofa.
Because I looked at a lot of small towns and a lot of their businesses have closed down because
Yep.
they sent these things over to other places. And what we need to do, we need to bring those things back. And people are like, well, yeah, we got to hire all these people and hire our own. I'm like, they don't have enough, for example, engineering.
Yeah.
They don't have enough engineers to bring back all the manufacturing.
No, they
They
don't.
don't.
Yeah.
And they don't. Most people don't realize the amount of lead time that it will take to go ahead and prepare that. They need to start doing it now. And if you
Yeah.
can start getting smaller communities, start building those things back together.
I like it.
And then bringing those skills to the people so that they can keep producing those things, then why not? We need to make education more accessible because funneling people into the bigger cities is only going to drive the cost of more, right?
But that's why we would do better if we went back to apprenticeship programs.
Agreed.
Because going to school all this time, all these people come out with papers, and the pandemic showed us that a paper didn't qualify you for anything.
The issue we have with the new generation coming through is the young generation, they don't want to clean toilets in Tim Hortons anymore. They don't want to work at McDonald's flipping burgers anymore, right? So guess what? Those jobs need to be taken, so then you will get the first immigrations will come over and take them over, or refugees will take those jobs, right? Because the Canadians over the last 20 years that have been here, they won't want to do those jobs. We've got this new generation that they're following certain idols and role models. I want to be that person, which isn't a bad thing to be, right? If you want to be that type of CEO, but you can't be a CEO at 15, You get my point?
Yeah.
You need to clean the floors.
You need to
right? You need
start-
to clean the floors, you need to make people coffee, you need to, personally, it's how I see it, work your way up. And then when you get to CEO, even if it's at 22, at 21,
Yes.
at least you've done something with experience. But now they want to jump into that as soon as they leave school.
Well, Jesus says a servant is not greater than his master, so you do have to go through the steps.
But when I was a kid, our society has changed a lot. When I was a kid, what you saw was a lot of, like, say, for example, mothers who they were married, they wanted a second income just to go out and do stuff. The kids are older. So they would go and work in one of those places. It didn't matter what they did, right? They just wanted to have some extra cash because our society has changed. And then you'd have a lot of students. And when I was younger, you could actually live off of minimum wage. You could have an apartment, you could have a beater, like it may not be the nicest car, but you could have a place and live by having a job.
It's
you have
mad.
A minimum wage Tim Horton job now.
Cooked.
You're sleeping in your car for an hour.
It's would you mind me asking, because it's for a lady, how old are you?
I'm 28 years of age.
Yeah, so I feel sorry for you because you to buy a house is virtually impossible.
Yeah,
Now, unless you get your father has to help you with that, family has to help you with that, or you win the lottery. Right? You're literally like, I feel so sorry for the new generation coming through to try and, but you can't.
No, you can't.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, when I was a kid, a lot of the kids were still like, we would go door to door and ask people, can I shovel your driveway
Yeah,
for
that's
like,
it.
you know, for extra money. Like, kids wanted to make money and do stuff, but as I got older, and like even my first job I got when I was like 14 or something, I was doing like calls for the, you know, in the community for the local election or whatever. But because they did an advertisement at our school. So I guess that was the first time I was ever political in my life. But growing up, a lot of people that I grew up with, they all wanted to have jobs. I always had a job when I was a teenager. But I think as, you know, I started to get into adulthood, I started to notice that a lot of young people, they stopped going to school or caring about investing in the Canadian economy because they noticed that it's not coming back to them. So like my dad said with engineering, there's not enough Canadian engineers. Actually, I was taking engineering in America at one point, and the statistic was that there's more immigrant engineers coming in, and America doesn't have enough engineers to replace every year. So it's like the younger people, they don't see the investment of going to school coming back to them because it's not.
No.
A lot of the different companies even and government policies and stuff prioritize the immigrants that come in, and you know, they'll say, you know, come over, you know, and we'll give you citizenship if you come. And they're doctors, they're very qualified, they're good or whatever, but then when it comes down to, you know, something like a pandemic, then they'll screw over everyone because they're afraid to get sent back to their country.
Right.
Whereas a citizen is going to be like, well, screw you, you know, I'm going to do whatever I want. And that's kind of why I guess they, you know, split that way.
And I think one of the problems that we have here is that the incentivizing people into going into certain fields.
Yeah.
Right? You should allow people to make the choices that they want. Make sense and give people opportunities to do the things that they want.
Yeah.
But not necessarily try to funnel certain people into certain areas, because then you start getting people that don't necessarily want to be there, but they're going to do that because it's an easier route for them to get into something. And then they go and do all the schooling, and then they're like, well, I don't want to do this, and they go and do something else.
Because they have no idea. They have no idea what they're getting into. Like most people who get degrees, and especially women. No offense, guys. Especially women, like they'll get degrees and then they won't use it. And a lot of people can't even afford to go to school anymore. And people are like, oh, well, when in my day, I was actually at the doctor's office one time when I was in university and down in Lacombe, Alberta, and I went down to the doctor's office. One lady there, she was like, when I was younger, you know, I paid for my entire school, I worked full time, and I went to school. I was like, okay, it was like 3 berries and 5 shillings when you went to school, okay? Like you didn't have to pay much. And now we're paying $100,000 for an undergraduate for a lot of people, so it's like.
I will say this though, right? A friend of mine, he posted on his Facebook about how expensive UK was. It's expensive. And then I had friends, obviously Canadian. Yeah, so I've got a friend in the UK, and he posted recently about the problem in UK with the cost of living. If you want to earn £100,000, you have to earn £205,000 right, to earn £100,000 cleared. So £105,000, right, goes to the tax man before you can earn £100,000.
That's prostitution.
It is. In Canada, so he's translated everything into pounds. So Canada is £170,000 you have to earn, so about $210,000 to earn $170,000, however it translates to, right? He's translated everything into pounds. And the UK has the worst. When I speak to Canadians about how expensive things are, I do explain you're not the only country. It's the whole of the West at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's insane.
It is insane.
It's literally insane. You might be able to go to the Balkans in Eastern Europe and you might be able to get a pint of beer for €2, right? Different. But I'm talking about if you look at like the major cities, right? Like Toronto's, New York's.
Oh yeah.
To London, to Paris, all those sort of places. It's ridiculous. And even like really Calgary's a small city. But it's damn expensive.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I grew up in Calgary, and it was expensive, but then we moved out to Saskatchewan. It's funny, my dad and I were like, oh, we'll never move to Saskatchewan. It's like, we used to drive through there to go to Manitoba to visit our family in Winnipeg, and we're like, oh, this place is like a social experiment. We're never going to come here.
And then we moved there.
We moved there. And
it's your own fault.
It was nice because it was a small town and everything was more affordable. You could drive like an hour and a half out to the main city and get whatever you needed and, come back to nothing other than, yourself, God, and some nature. But when I was like 18, I was like, I think I'm going to move to London. I was going to, and my dad was like, no, because we have a lot of family out there.
Yeah, but I get it though, because when you're from a small town, that's what you seek. You seek this big adventure, right?
Yeah.
And I think you should do it when you're young. It doesn't have to be for a particular extent of time. And then I think you then understand, hey, actually the small town life is for me.
Oh yeah, because I ended up, when my dad was like, no, UK is going down the drain, don't go, it's going to suck in 5 years. And he was right, because 5 years later was the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
And so instead I was like, forget it, I'm going to Toronto. So I went to the 6. I moved to Toronto. Within like 8 months I was back. I couldn't stand it. It was so expensive. I left the house in the morning before the sun came up. I worked, went to school, came back. By the time I finished work, the sun was down. I never saw daylight pretty much, except for in between train or bus or whatever.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of money, but I never had it.
Yeah, mate, what's the point?
Yeah.
Money is I understand that we have to have it, right?
But it's like those
I hate
things.
it. I really do, man. I've seen it changes people so much. And even more so in recent years with the boom of the social media, especially over COVID, when people are on social media every minute, just talking about money. And of course, we all need it, etc.
Yeah.
But it has got to a point where it's just the greed of people has gone insane, but it's made them into these weird creatures.
People are doing for money is absolutely
insane.
absurd.
I'm not even going to bring up OnlyFans.
Well, the thing
disgusting.
is,
Yes.
even
Disgusting.
the place, like when I was in Toronto, for example, like it was expensive. I never did party life or nightlife or whatever. I literally just went to school, went home, bought food and stuff like that. And it was extremely expensive. And then I realized the realities of like living on your own in that hard kind of environment.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, they don't realize what they're getting themselves into, and then they'll go out in a situation like that, and then if they don't have a certain moral and teaching from their family, then they're going to be like, okay, well, I'll just do OnlyFans to make up the money, where I was like, I'm just going to go back to my dad's house.
But it's laziness. This is what we talked about. They don't want to do the small-time jobs that work in a coffee shop or something, right? They want to, I've seen the algorithm, you can make 10 grand a month by basically getting naked, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But they're not thinking of the repercussions of 10, 15 years if they want a family.
Yeah.
Right? And then all of a sudden the kids at school, I just checked your mum out. You know, let's be honest, it's not good, is it?
No.
But this is the problem.
No.
They tell boys and girls that they're the same in school.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. So the girls come in thinking that they can go in and run with the boys when it comes to work.
Yep.
Where you're out of your mind. There's no way you're going to be able to do that, because we're just built differently.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? We need men and women to make society function, but we're not the same.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely not.
Because if somebody's crashing down the door, they're not afraid of the wife, they're afraid of the husband that's going to rip them limb from limb.
Yep.
Right? To protect his family. So when they do this, these girls come into this area and then they are forced to compete with men in areas dominated by men.
Yeah.
What happens to women when they do that?
Yeah,
they
they're
start
cooked.
taking their clothes off.
Yeah, they're cooked.
Because they need to gain some advantage, so they have to try to seduce a man, get the attention of a man to get them past the men they're trying to compete with. It's like, no, let them go and compete with the women and put them in areas where they're going to thrive. Then forcing that, and then they're like, oh, well, here the algorithm says if you take your clothes off, you can make $10,000. So they're creating the circumstances for this to happen. You know who wins? All the predatory men that you don't want your daughters around.
I know.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Men have the role, women have the role, and that is in life. And I'm not saying that, obviously, joined together they make a force.
Yes.
That's just a fact, right?
Yes.
But it has just got to a part now where, you know, young women, they don't want that traditional values of life, which I can understand. Sometimes you want to delay it a little bit. You might want to go to a restaurant, you might want to have a bit of a party and all those sort of things, and have a bit of a life, travel the world, etc.
Yes.
But surely you'd want that, no? Surely you want those traditional values of life, of a family, marriage, all those things.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they just, like, because of the way that they're taught in school, they're just not understanding anymore. Like, because when I was younger, like I said, I did Taekwondo for a while, and I was always pretty strong. So, you know, sometimes I would fight with other kids, but in middle school, I realized that boys are a lot stronger because, you know, when you play with sports and stuff, okay, now you can't even, you can't catch up, you can't. So, like, I realized, like, that kind of had to stop. But in school, they teach us predominantly, like, oh, well, at least when I was in school, that you could have a boy brain and be a girl, and have a girl brain and be a boy or whatever, and that was the science. And so, like, a lot of
Did you have a tail on as well at the same time? Did you? Jesus Christ.
But
you know, sometimes I see these schools where they allow the kid to be a cat called Mary or something, right?
Or
and they give it cat food or food in a bowl.
And the litter box and stuff.
I generally thought when I first started seeing that wasn't real. I thought it was someone just playing a joke, you know, Adam Sandler dressed up or something for fun.
Yeah.
It's real. And now I've actually seen it a few times. Like, I've seen it like in Calgary, like some dressed up. I'm like, what are you? What are they called? They're called...
You mean the transgender?
No.
Furries?
Furries, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, the actual...
Yes, they wear that.
In public,
Yes.
Okay,
but
wow.
if you go and say, I believe in Jesus, you need mental health.
They've got mental illness.
But they say this is okay, but if you want to have a family and go to church, you've got mental issues.
Well,
Yes.
and in
Ridiculous.
In school, they tell, like, a lot of the people in school when I was coming up, the teachers would tell, like, the young girls, if you want to get that traditional family that you care about, like a man who's going to love you and take care of you, you need to go and get a degree and a PhD or all this other stuff and get a really high-paying, successful job so that you could be valuable to him, and you can't do the feminine stuff. So it's like a lot of women, they did want that, but they were lied about the way in which they could achieve it. And then when they did go to school for something, a lot of the girls I know that went to school did not actually go to school for a degree. They went to school to find like a husband or something, and they ended up just doing whatever program and then not continuing with it after they got married. And we've seen people online who they're engineers, neuroscientists, teachers, lawyers, who all quit and became OnlyFans instead because they could not keep up in those respective fields. So it's like, for women in society, what's the point even of telling them go out and do this if they're just gonna go and resort to OnlyFans anyways, because they can't ultimately still protect themselves or provide for themselves the way that a man can, and things like that.
Now, I've got to be honest, like, the beauty of a fight industry is that men and women are respected, right? That's one of the things, right? Women are respected in the fight. But obviously, women fight women, men fight men, and that's how that goes. But they can still be respected and treated equally on the mats. But it doesn't mean that in life outside of the gym, there's certain roles in that, right?
But that's what it's saying. Men have to compete against men,
right?
And women should be competing against women.
Well, I've seen it in fight sports, right? When there was an MMA fight from America, I've completely forgotten her name, whatever it was, and beat the hell out of another woman in an MMA cage, and I think broke the eye socket, everything. Yeah. But because it was transitioned, they did a documentary. I don't know if you remember it. It must have been 9 years ago, 7, 8 years ago or something.
Yeah.
We saw a case or something.
Yeah, and basically it was like 9-0, 9 wins by knockout.
Yeah.
And it was a man, obviously,
crazy.
transferred into a woman.
Yes.
It's absolutely, that should not be allowed.
No,
No.
it should not.
But it's not even like, I've got nothing, the stupidest thing is, I've got nothing against the person, because what I have got against the people allowing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always, how have you allowed that?
Yeah.
That's the person who's wrong, the person that's allowed it,
Yes.
Yeah.
right?
Because they would never been in a position.
Because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how much hormones you take as a man, like estrogen and all that stuff. You're never going to take away your lung capacity. You're never going to lose that muscle mass. You're never going to lose the bone density
No.
and so forth. So then you go and compete with each woman. Like you look at that with that swimmer, that Leah Thomas or whatever.
Yeah.
Like could not even place with the men, was horrible,
I know.
and was beating these women by a country mile.
Oh no, it's ridiculous.
Well,
Right?
even those 15-year-old soccer boys.
Yes.
They didn't even score 1
I think I
point.
beat the USA team, didn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
USA women's team, yeah.
That go to the female World Cup and they can't beat
No.
can't beat the teenage boys.
No.
Crazy.
Right? So that's why if you're going to have them compete, you have the women competing with the women and the men competing against men.
That's right.
Because if you put them together, then the women are going to start doing depraved stuff, and the people know this. And
Exactly.
This is why they create this whole situation, lie to the women, and don't tell them that if you want this, then you're going to have to give up that. If
Right.
you want a family,
The sacrifice,
you
yeah.
cannot go and spend 20 years getting
Yeah.
your career and then try to start a family at 40.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Because chances are you're not going to get pregnant,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They don't tell
Yeah.
them that. They tell them and say, oh no, you can be a parent, you can have your full-time career. Really? Are there
can't.
50 hours in a day?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is nuts, but it circles round of things being so expensive that they try and push people into getting 2 jobs now to not have families, right? So you need to have your career, you need to have that. And then, like you said, you leave it too late, you know?
This-
And it's not what it was, like you said. You know, like you could have your minimum wage back in the day. You might have a
Yeah.
beat a car, but you could afford a house. It was like 3 months' wages, wasn't it, back in those days? You could have 3 months' wages and you could get your mortgage and buy your house, and you could buy it outright within 3 years.
Yes, there was times where a mortgage was a portion of your yearly salary.
That's it.
Yeah. The house I grew up in now, like throughout my childhood, you could not afford today
No.
on a regular salary. Like you cannot afford a 3-story or a 2-story house even on a portion of your 1 year salary, like the mortgage. You
Yeah.
can't.
I was looking at some of the real estate, and they had this woman talking about real estate in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And they showed you like apartments on East Hastings,
Yeah.
right? That were selling for like almost like hundreds of thousands
Studio,
of dollars, like
right.
close to $1 million on East Hastings.
Crazy.
They showed you $1.2 million house, and it's like a shack. It's dilapidated and running down, and they're like, "This is a steal."
But can you imagine having that, and then having, like, you're having kids and you have to come outside and every day, like, see that? Oh, Lord. Yeah.
Pierre Polyev was talking to some guys in BC, and they were Canadians, but I think they were like probably Gen Z, but they were, I think, of Indian heritage or whatever. But they said something similar to what you said, that they paid an egregious amount just for a studio, like thousands of dollars, and it was literally just a studio. And I think it was in Vancouver.
Well, there was that guy that came from India. He was come here to open a business, and then he said, "I'm going to close my business because I'm getting taxed too much. It doesn't make sense for me to operate my business here. I'll go somewhere else and operate it." And it's
Yeah.
like, we need to stop taxing people to death. But the idea of getting people back into small towns, like you can go into places in Saskatchewan and Manitoba and even rural Alberta,
Yeah.
where there's towns are almost dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there are houses that are sitting there empty and things that are shut down. Because if you have that option, if you have more people living in the smaller towns, the cities can't get that expensive because people always have the opportunity to go back. And if
Yeah.
a lot of times people fall on their hard times, so they go back to, say, their family in the small town where they can get a job, get things easier, and get back on their feet. And a lot of people will end up maybe coming to the city for a while and then saying, okay, I'm going to go back out into the smaller community where I can actually afford things. Because, you know, I used to live in BC. Do I love the mountains? Of course I do.
Beautiful beach.
Yeah.
Parts of BC are absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes,
You know.
but do I like the price?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
Can't
I'd
live
rather
for
go live
aesthetic.
somewhere else and go visit than to go there and live there full time and pay for the privilege of being poor.
Yeah, exactly. But again, I think the young people in BC, that they're only there for studying university and then they leave because you can't sustain staying there.
No, you can't. It's like California.
It's like, exactly that. But what you're getting is the generational older people that live there who bought houses 20, 30 years ago that live there. But I wonder what the next 20, 30 years are going to be like. It can't keep going up. It's going to have to crash.
Yeah.
So, because people won't move there, and then they're going to say we need people there. I know one of the reasons why Vancouver became so expensive because they had a lot of Chinese immigration that came over and buying houses without even seeing them for next to nothing, right? Which I don't even know. I don't think they could do that anymore. But at that time, again, it's not their fault. It's the person that allowed that. It's fault.
The person creating the circumstances.
And again, going back to, you know, we we're just talking before the camera. The government shouldn't be doing certain things, and it's like they have their fingers in way too many pies. It's ridiculous. Like they're just literally everything now. You die, you get taxed.
You can't even
Like, you're going to get left with a big tax bill. It's ridiculous.
When the job of the government is to maintain law and order and make sure that justice is served.
Right.
Outside of that, stay out of my face.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, because the government likes to give all these groups rights, and why they like giving special interest groups rights is because then they have to enforce it, and they get to take more power and encroach, and then they have to justify their budgets, and then they come in and then they tax you more. If we actually began to figure things out the way that we used to, they wouldn't have such a need for a big government. Because I was in Vancouver in the 90s, first time I moved out there, and I watched how they had the influx of Chinese people buying the homes. And the government in Canada, there was no controls over foreign investment. So now you'd have, go on Southwest Marine Drive, you'd have those $1 million homes empty. Or they might have a family living there on welfare.
Yeah.
Because they were just using it to hide their money and whatever. And we know that there's a lot of dirty stuff going on in Vancouver. So this is what drove up the housing market. And they just started doing that in Toronto and places like that. Mm-hmm. So if they put the brakes on who was able to come in and buy stuff here, it would have changed things. Because even with the way the corporations in Canada, it was easy to open and close number corporations. Some provinces like Saskatchewan, you don't even have to disclose your ownership. Right? So you could be a criminal operating, and Canada actually is a breeding ground for organized crime the way they set things up.
Well, I think we're going to see a lot more of it, since obviously with America and lots of people leaving America and coming over the border towards Canada. And I think we've already seen some.
Oh yeah.
And they're gonna cotton on to the lax system here.
Of course they have.
And abuse that.
But that's why this is why the Mexican cartels moved a lot of their operations to BC and Canada. Because they're like, well, we got the Mexican border, we got a wall, we got all that stuff, but you got
let's go around it.
You got the longest undefended border here in the world. And we're gonna start putting our operations up here. And so Canada has to really do something about the crime and the government. But the people here, if we don't do something about this government, we'll never get anything done. People complain about the illegal immigrants, but I keep saying that's problem B. Who let them in?
Right, so I go back to my thing of, I don't blame anyone that wants to move, whether it's Canada, US, like myself, I moved, or UK or parts of Europe. I can't blame them, because you have to blame the illegals that come in, you have to blame the government for letting them in. And then when they're in, right, if they're in and they weren't given money or refuge, then they would have to leave. But they're not. They're given like $200 a day, right? And housed. And that's what frustrates me, because obviously I'm an immigrant myself, right? It costs me, I don't mind how much it cost me to come here, because I wanted to come here.
Yes.
I had no criminal history. I brought over a family.
Yes.
I worked for a company, paid my taxes, and then I've obviously got businesses now, and I'm paying taxes, right? I want to be part of society. I want to be part of the Albertan culture, and I love that, right? That's exactly why we came. But these new people don't want to do that. They want to take. But I can't blame them, because they're coming from a country where they've got nothing, so they're thinking, well, I can go there, it's easy, right? I can get given a house. But it's the government allowing that. Why are you giving them tax? You're not allowed to do that with my money. I don't know anyone that said, yeah, give those guys money. Do you know anyone?
No.
Did you pay your taxes for that? We need to sort out our own problems first.
But this is the problem that I have. Like, people get so frustrated at the illegal immigrants, and I'm like, yes, I understand they're taking stuff.
Yeah.
But would they be able to get it if the government didn't give it to them?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the government didn't allow them in, and they're letting them stay there. So who is the bigger problem? It's not the illegal immigrants. Your biggest problem is your government that is selling you out.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? There's a real true thing I heard a couple of weeks ago, is there's a lot of people talking about it but not taking action, right?
Oh my God.
And then there are some people taking action, right? As you've experienced, when you take some sort of action, they start to force you back, put you in jail, threaten you jail, take your house away.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And
It's
freeze your
so-
assets.
Yeah.
That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
I've seen it with one of the most famous people in the world, Andrew Tate. When he went against the government, look what happened. They took everything off him, right? Because he answered back to certain peoples. You're seeing it with other celebrities now.
Yes.
But I think we are sort of turning a corner a little bit, right?
Yes.
I'm starting to see more people that wouldn't normally stand up and talk, start to talk. But talking and action are two different things. You don't have to do it forcefully in any way like that, but you need that some sort of new party needs to come in and take these fucking clowns out.
You know, like, I mean, some of us aren't celebrities and so forth, and we still stand up and talk.
Yep.
When I whistle blew, when I saw what was going on, my first thought was, my kid could die. Someone else's kid could die. Somebody else's loved one. And when I do work, I don't want someone to get killed.
Right.
Right? So I'm like, we got to fix this. And so when I went to do something like that, they wanted to silence me. And I was just like, absolutely not. I'm not going to sit down and allow somebody to get killed because of you want to be, I don't know what the reason is, and I don't care. The fact of the matter is, this needs to be fixed so somebody can go home safe.
Yeah.
And there's a worse repercussion when you make a mistake like that. Like my dad, he was doing mechanical engineering. I was working for the provincial government at a maximum security prison and hospital for the criminally and mentally insane. When we make a decision on something that affects the life of someone else, there's more legal repercussion for you making that mistake. Because like you said, it's not about the person involved, it's about who created the circumstance for it to happen, who made it possible.
Yeah.
And when you have the knowledge of something and you intentionally go out and do something that's going to be harmful to somebody, you have a higher level of accountability for that. So it's like you have to make clear intentional decisions. You can't do something that you know is going to harm people.
Like, I used to be a heavy duty mechanic, right? Used to work on trucks and trailers. You want to make sure that before you send something out that everything works and it's safe to go out, especially, for example, a set of tires. A set of those tires comes off a truck going down the road. They're going to come off and they're going to go faster than the car, and they're faster than the tractor trailer, and they're going to cut a car in half and they'll kill anybody.
Absolutely.
Right.
So I have that mindset that I know that if I make a mistake at my job, someone's going to end up dead, potentially.
Yeah.
Same thing with engineering. If I go out and make a mistake, someone's dead.
Right.
Like, I don't want that on my conscience. I don't want to do that to somebody. I want somebody to go home. And when I talk to the government about that, they're like, you're crazy. I'm like, excuse me, I don't want people to die.
But you know, if something happened, then you were going to get punished badly.
Yeah.
But if they've caused problems where people have died, there's no repercussions for them.
Right.
Well, yeah.
For us,
Yeah.
they stripped us of our house, shut our bank accounts, took all our cars, took our corporate assets, took my sister, took everything from us, left us with nothing. So it's like, on that point, like I understand what happened with Andrew, because it seems like that's the same kind of thing like what we experienced, stripped of absolutely everything just for trying to speak out in a way that's going to help people, and then we were punished. But all the people that died as a result of the government's failures and what they did the last couple of years, there's no repercussions for them. No one's speaking, like people, and even now people are speaking out about, you know, things are coming out in the news about, okay, well, in America on Fox and CNN, it was so bad, the Chinese coming over with the agro-terrorism, bioweapons and things like that, that they had to put it on the news, and they were bringing the Chinese and to the specific universities, one in Michigan, and letting them do the research there for that stuff. And then they're saying, okay, well, they're going to arrest them. But nobody has come forward and said, okay, well, all of the stuff that the government has done, like you said, to make sure some of these things happen the last couple of years, no one has actually put anything forward for any of them to get repercussions or consequences, not just for the people that they've killed, but the people that they've destroyed so that they could kill people, the voices that they've silenced so that they could go around doing this to everybody. And that's crazy to me.
Like when I sit down and I look at this, and I don't listen to what people say, and I told people, I was talking to somebody, they said the amount of hostility that's directed towards Andrew Tate,
yeah, it's crazy,
is not, it's not, even if he did everything they said he did, the level of hostility doesn't make sense. The reason being is he's one man. Say if he's a pedophile and he's trafficking, okay, he's one man. So look at, they had Jim Ferguson, that there was like 200 people in the Labour Party that were pedophiles, and they arrested somebody that was currently in government. I'm like, so the BBC is riddled with pedophiles. Your government is riddled with pedophiles.
BBC is another level. Like
but you say this one person gets directed more hostility than the government that is controlling you and bringing in the rape gangs.
Right.
How does this make sense?
Well, what the sense is that Andrew become a voice for a lot of people. He become a social media algorithm, like the most followed man on earth a couple of years ago, and he became powerful in media. And that's why they thought, well, this guy can sway decisions of votes. People against vaccines, or those sort of things. So they need to take him out. So what they do is they take his money away, right? And then they start bringing up. You see this all the time. Anyone that's come up that we would see as good people come up, media will try and take them down. Bring up something that happened 20 years ago, 10 years ago, or a fake allegation. Right. When that happens, then of course, us will look at him and go, well, he's innocent, the guy. Like I'm going to tell you because I know Andrew personally, right? I know bullshit. It is everything you're reading is.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
Fucking bullshit.
What I will say.
I know Andrew personally, right? I've known him 15, 16 years.
Wow, okay.
And some of the cases, I've read some of the cases, and I just go, oh my, what it is, it's some girls trying to make money from him, right? They realise, we can make some money. And you've got someone in their ear, which is usually a lawyer or something like that, will put together some story because it's your word against theirs. But where he's like badly shone on against the moment, and there's a lot of liberals that don't like him, we can make you the victim and you can get something out of this, right? And that's what's happening, right? It's ridiculous.
What I'll say about it is that, like, so a couple years back, actually, so as I mentioned earlier, I was in U.S. for a little while.
Yep.
Like I told you, I'm Native. Shout out to the Métis tribe. But I actually made a video talking about how my situation of being a survivor of trafficking actually paralleled Andrew Tate's case and Trump's, and the stuff that my father and I were doing. And he reposted that video. And after he didn't even quote it, so I don't even know what his opinion was. All he did was repost it. And after that, the floodgates opened of like people coming and attacking me, like hunting me down. Like the time that he shared it, actually, I was in Colorado, and someone had actually tried to grab me with an abused pit bull, duct tape, rope, a machete.
Colorado?
Yes, in Colorado, yeah. And I was, so I was grabbed. So the timing in which he reposted it was actually very clutch, I would say. Shout out to you, Andrew. But honestly, after that, all the people who were coming after him would come, some of them would come to me and try and tell me something and then try and be like, okay, well, what's this situation? I'm like, yo, I don't even know what's going on. And these were conservative people.
Yeah.
They were on the conservative end of things. Some of them were not even liberal, and they refused to do certain things with us because he reposted my video, and I don't even know the guy.
Yeah, you don't even know the guy. He's just reposting, like saying, "Oh, this lady's saying a good thing, doing a good thing." Reshared it, and now look.
Yeah.
Right?
Somebody said to me, because I said it brought attention to my daughter in a situation where people were trying to harm. Because every time, because of what I did, everybody would go after my kids. This is the tactic, because they know that a man that's just at this point, I don't care, and I've always been that way. I've always been the one person that challenged the government. I don't care. If I don't see that it's right, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
If it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to do it. I don't care what you say. And so the only way that they knew they were going to stop me was to go after my kids. And every time I did something, they went after my kids. And they took my little daughter, and then they would go after my daughter. And so it brought attention when somebody was coming to go after my daughter.
Yeah.
Right?
But they want a reaction from you, see?
And so
they want you to make a mistake.
Yes. And then so I'm like, you guys are all saying that Andrew Tate is a trafficker. And I said, okay, fine. So why is it the man that's a trafficker and a pedophile helps my daughter in a time where it's going to bring attention, where people are coming to grab her? You don't come with machetes, duct tape, and
to have a picnic with someone.
Right? Like I dealt with like very terrible people being a drug addict. Right?
Yeah.
Like, so I understand what's going on here. So I'm like, if you're a good person and better than him, why is he doing something when you're not?
Yeah. And why are you attacking me?
This is my question. I'm like, all of these things don't add up. Like I said, I don't know the guy, right? So I can't sit down and definitively say anything, but when I look at what people are saying and how their reactions are going, and I'm looking at the two situations, I'm like, this does not add up.
And some of them are working with convicted pedophiles. I mean, like,
Yes.
you have to, like, that's
Parliament, BBC.
And some people who are genuinely, like, online doing stuff, because, I mean, I've had people come after me and have had people come and try to tell me that Andrew was involved in something and try to get me to say certain things, and me and my dad are like, look, I don't have any evidence of that. I don't know the guy. Like,
What people want is a response from you, right? And when they get a response, they copy and paste that, and it goes across their socials, and it gets reshared among certain media outlets, right, to try and make you look bad.
Right.
Why though? Right?
Exactly. That's the point. Why?
It's just because it's people are at home, and they create these profiles. They're either bored, or they're just horrible people. But before social media, we didn't have these people, and if we ever had a person speak to you like that, your dad would have reached over.
And that would be the consequence.
And then they would never talk again, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, all those guys that say that kind of stuff in social media, they would never say that
to your face. No.
But you got the fake profiles going on now, and this online harassment of people. But you got, like, to be honest with you, although it's easier said than done, you got to be thick-skinned and just ignore it.
Well, I don't.
You got it, because otherwise, if you go into each one, right?
I don't pay attention.
Yeah, but people do, right? And if they go into each comment and take it hurtfully, they're like, oh, and you've seen some like mental people just break down over comments. I'm like, what the fuck? It's only, it's just words. In theory, it's just words. There might be some intent on some of them, but these fake profiles.
Oh yeah, a lot of them are just stupid
Forget
comments.
They're
like add-ons and stuff.
To sit down to do that, and a lot of those guys are pedophiles. Honestly.
Yeah.
Fucking right.
You're right. Like, because there was one guy, and I won't mention his count, but this guy had he has a shrine basically to Andrew Tate, saying that he's all these types of things. But I knew a girl that was in his country that was begging for help.
Yeah.
She was trafficked. It wouldn't lift a finger to help her.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, you're against trafficking, but you're going to leave the person who's begging you for help getting trafficked in your own backyard?
Right.
And I'm like, oh, but you're going to go and focus somebody halfway across the world.
Literally.
This is what I'm saying. I'm saying, okay, if the guy is a trafficker, let Romania handle it.
Yeah.
They've got their own country.
Yeah.
Worry about the guys that are raking the people
I
right in
know,
front
and
of
that's
their
what
face.
people do. That's what people do, though, don't they?
Right?
You know.
It's like they use him as a distraction because people have a prejudice for him because they don't like some of the things that he says, or
I
like they don't appreciate.
That.
But it's like
us three here will be around the table. We're not always going to agree with everything in life. There'll be different opinions on things, but it doesn't mean you're not friendships. You still have your friendship, right? Andrew will say some certain things, and then you might not agree with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But they hate everything he says. There's a difference,
Yeah,
right?
because it's not rational. It's not a rational type of thinking.
I grew up with a friend of mine, and he did some things that I don't agree with, and I've told him straight in my face when we were younger.
But you see, you told him to his face, and that's what a friend should do.
Yeah.
I said, if I ever catch you doing this, I'm gonna punch you in your face myself, right? But we're still friends.
Yeah.
And we don't always agree on things, but that's kind of the way that we grew up. You got used to certain things that people do. You know, everybody has their mistakes, whatever, and you learn how to live life. But just because I don't like what you say or you hurt my feelings, that doesn't mean I should kill you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? But this is the way this generation is now.
Yeah.
If you hurt their feelings, then something must be wrong. But coming back to this is something that's absolutely insane. This is why they call it toxic masculinity. A man's job is not to make you feel good. He's there to make you feel safe. He's there to help you be safe. Like I tell my daughter, I'd rather you be angry and alive than feel good and dead.
Yeah.
Because if we have to do something to save your life, it ain't gonna feel pretty, but we got to do it now.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? And that's what a man is supposed to do.
Yeah, supposed to look after your family, right? It's turn off. Just a sec.
Do you want to check that while it's in the meantime? Just make sure it's still.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, you're there to protect your family. It's as simple as that. You've got to protect them like you say. I like that. It's really nice. It makes a lot of sense. Angry and alive.
Yes.
No, because
Instead of emotional, purple hair and dead. With a tail hanging out.
Well, and like you said, like I grew, growing up, some of my friends, we became friends because we got in fights.
Yeah, I get that.
Right? Because I'm like, okay, this guy stood his ground. I respect him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you shake hands, you sit down, you drank a beer, whatever, and you went on from there.
Yeah, you shoot the shit, right? So it's the same, you know, you go for a few drinks and you have a guy that might have a different opinion of him, but it doesn't mean you're not friends, right? But you have a few drinks and for life you might be his friend, right?
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of people that I've come across. Well, I can't say a lot, but there are a few people that I've come across where, like my dad said, you start off like on the wrong foot with someone, but because like you stand your ground, you actually have the ability to talk to them directly to their face, and they'll be upfront with you, and you can actually discuss things. I respect people like that because I'm not looking for a friend where we're going to agree on everything. I want a friend that's going to challenge my ideas and actually help me grow as a person.
That's right.
So help me see a different point of view and like be more open-minded and stuff like that.
You can't speak facts anymore, though, can you?
No, you
Some of us don't care, but
No, but this is a fact and a stat where it doesn't matter. No, it does, because that's the reason we created facts and stats, so we can bring data to help evolve and push forward, right?
yeah, and one of my favorite sayings is the road to hell is paved with yes men.
Yeah.
Right? You cannot have somebody that's going to tell you what you're doing is right all the time, because it's not possible. I'm not right all the time. I know that. If somebody's trying to like gas me and tell me that everything I'm doing is right, I'm like, you're lying.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, because you see the people in Hollywood,
Yes.
right? They get yes men all the time, and,
Yes.
and they're evil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, their kids are ruined.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they believe in all this weird stuff, and they're supporting the trans movements, right? That makes a lot of sense then, doesn't it? If they're told yes the whole life, they're going to have fucked up lives. I mean, fantastic artist that he was, but Michael Jackson's a prime example. A childhood megastar from 5 years old till the day he died.
Yes.
He was completely gone in the head. Because the whole time he got told yes, right?
That's worse than abuse.
Yeah.
It is actually abuse. Actually, I see it as abuse.
It's the worst form of abuse.
Yeah.
You're better off beating someone and being too strict than to say yes all the time.
Yeah.
Because if you're too strict, then you just have to learn to loosen the boundaries. But if you have no boundaries whatsoever, you don't know how to set them.
Yeah,
That's how
but
you create predators.
It does, but it comes into sort of modern day society with some families that I've seen where they just, like you said, it's all come to light with that, right, what you just said. When they say to their kid, yes. Right, with my kids, right, they have some flexibility, but when it comes to like eating food, what I put on the table, they're eating it. And sometimes I'll sit there for hours, right? And I'll sit there for hours, and I'm sitting there, you are eating that broccoli, right? It's gone all cold, right? But anyway, but I know years to come, and years when they're older, they'll thank me for that.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they will.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to do things in life that suck. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, when we're talking about jobs, I had to work at a recycling company when she was younger.
Yeah.
Like, and I was waist deep in garbage. Like, I mean, after the folk festival, after recycling, like, some of the stuff, you just had to throw it out because you could, like, there was, like, all kinds of nastiness in there.
Festival stuff.
Right? So you just, like, you can't deal with that. But I did what I needed to do because that's necessary,
Yeah.
right? And that's what you, like, the mom makes you feel good and so forth, but the father is the one that teaches you how to get through those challenges. And that's why they need to have men in the home, but they don't want to. And this is why you get weak children. And when you have the fathers that don't teach them that getting through the challenges, this is where they're easier to manipulate and get them to do all of this other filth because they just want them to, all they want to do is feel good. The fathers are there to teach them that
I'm going to sell it because that's what I've known since I was 12 years old, but it's really important, I think, for youngsters, boys and girls, to learn how to defend yourself.
Yes.
Like, get into a gym. It doesn't have to be Muay Thai, it can be boxing, kickboxing, taekwondo. It doesn't matter, karate, jiu-jitsu, judo, the list goes on, wrestling.
they're up on the playground.
Yeah, exactly.
Just in real time.
When I was younger at school, you'd still have a bit of a fight at school, and then the teacher would just split you up, and that'd be it, right?
Yeah.
But nowadays, they don't. The teachers, you can't do that. They take you there, and then they send a big report, and a health report, and an insurance report, right? And then they go, well, I think this kid's got mental problems, so they put the kid. No, it just pissed me off.
When I was a
tried
kid,
to pull my pants down, I banged him, like, you know.
Well,
yeah, when I was a kid, if kids were like messing around with you, you just beat them up. But
That's
the
it.
problem is when the teachers would come around, they would punish the person who beat them up. So like, if someone was doing something I saw was unjust,
the person who was provoking and bullying,
Yes.
they protect them.
yes.
Yeah.
And so.
And then they would give counseling to the person who defended
counselling.
themselves.
I don't know if it's the case here, but in the 80s in UK, if there was kids had a problem on the playground, the teacher would go, okay, and each school had a gym. It's a true story. It went all the way up. It was in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and they'll go, all right, kids, boxing ring. Used to have them in every school.
Yeah.
Kids get gloves on, fight it out 1 minute.
That's good.
And then the teacher would be the referee. Legit happened. That would never happen now. Could you imagine all the lawsuits? Right? But it made sense though.
But it
made
does.
you into a heart, like,
It's a
made you,
safe-
like, and it didn't matter.
When I was a kid, I used to mind my own business at school and whatever else. My mom was like, yeah, just keep your head down, do stuff. Kid would come in and he would just bully me all the time, and I would just try to just, play it off. And one day he just took my food and trashed it, and I was just like, that's it, buddy.
That's
so
so
I just
funny.
over the table, and I started to give it to him. And the teachers were there. They knew what was going on. They saw it in the cafeteria happening.
Yeah, you let it go for 10 seconds,
They just
right?
said, let's just wait till he learns the lesson, and then we'll stop.
That's it.
And then so he went, and they're like, okay, let's go down to the principal. And the principal knew me and stuff like that. He's like, Dale, just go take the afternoon off. And he told the guy, he goes, don't show your face here for 2 weeks. Get out of here, you're suspended.
Yeah.
Right? And
That's crazy.
after that guy came down, his days bullying were over.
Yeah.
Right? Because they saw that you need to get a consequence. I wasn't bullying. I tried to avoid
Yeah.
Can you imagine when he got home, his dad, who would have gone, what the the beatdowns he would have got, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he probably deserved it, let's be honest, right?
Yes.
You know?
Then he learned a lesson, but what we're doing is taking away and I'm not advocating for violence,
Yeah,
but I'm
no.
saying that if somebody's going to do that, then they should receive the natural consequences. Because when that person goes out into the world and he does it, goes into a bar and does that, somebody's going to beat his face in badly. And then he might go into a bad group of guys and they'll drag him out, they'll stab him and shoot him.
Yeah.
So if he learns that not to do those things when he's young, then he'll be able to, you know, go out in the world and make better choices.
And it's going back to what you said about the yes men.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And this is where people need to, like, even playing around with your buddies or whatever else like that, you're going to learn boundaries and stuff. And when you know, play sports, even if it's not even sports, but any type of organized activity, you're going to have to learn to get along.
Correct.
Right.
And this is what they're taking away of our society today, where they're just isolating and then just saying, you're the best, you're just, whatever you want to do.
A for
fine.
effort.
Right? And
Oh yeah. You still get a gold medal for coming second.
Yes, and then...
No. See, that's why fighting's so good, right?
Yes.
Because you can't change the rules, right? Because you're going to get a winner and you get a loser, right?
Yes.
And I've lost, right?
Yes.
And they say you either win or you learn, right? And that's true, right?
Yeah.
And when I lost, it fucking devastated me.
Yeah.
Right? And when now I'm a coach, I actually like if a fighter loses, obviously I don't want them to lose. If they lose, I want to see them devastated, right? Because I know it's going to give that drive for them to come back on that Monday morning, come back in the gym and go, fuck, I need to get back in there, right? And that's a life lesson, right? And that's what good thing about fighting is. You're going to get winners, you're going to get losers. Sports too, right?
Yeah.
And there's no, like, if you come second place, it's like, oh.
Yeah, no.
No, you lost.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? You know? You're going to have to improve.
After a while, it gets to the point where you don't get devastated. You're just like, okay, this is what went wrong, and I'm going to fix it.
That's
now.
it.
I'm going to go and get it.
That's it.
Right? Like, you just get to that mindset where you thrive on challenges, and you don't look at it as defeat. You look at obstacles and challenges, and then you work harder. Because what I've ended up doing was, I go in and I play a game with myself.
Yeah.
How can I be better today than I was yesterday?
Okay, yeah.
And you keep pushing the limits on that way, and that's what you want to teach your kids to do internally.
Yes.
Right? Because once you have that internal drive to keep becoming better and moving forward, that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't make perfect kids, but you want kids that can think in the right direction and then have the right kind of drive.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Kids today are afraid of stress. Like, they're afraid of feeling bad about a lot of things.
Yeah, well, I think that it's 15, 16 years plus. I've got a good feeling now that the new kids coming through, the new ones that, you know, like 2, 3, 4, 5, say up to, say, 10 years old, I've got a feeling now that the parents are starting to see that, right? The mistakes over the last 10, 15, 20 years that they've made is now changing, and hopefully it's going to turn a corner for these new kids that come through, right?
Yeah.
And look at their grandparents maybe and go, do you know what they fought for is probably right, but they couldn't do it at the time, but I can, right? As they say about that circle, you know, like the man gets rich and then their kids fuck it up and lose it all.
Yeah.
And then the next kids come along and they've got to try and build it again, and then the next one makes the money and it goes in that circle.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go into that circle of where kids are they're gonna have to fight a bit more, right? They're not just going to be handed out things.
Well, they
right?
need that mental discipline, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, people are getting in debt. That's true. Canada's in, what they saying? It's 75% of people in Canada are in debt. That's just
Like
an example.
A couple paychecks away from being on the street.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So what it's going to do is it's going to force people to kids are going to have to. You can't have this. You can't have the latest iPhone, son.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to have to. This is how we're going to live, right? And it's going to strip back a bit, right?
But then let's go back to why this happened.
Yeah.
And it keeps going back to the same thing that everybody seems to be afraid of dealing with. The government.
Yeah.
The economic policy. I saw this happening years and years ago. From when I was in my 20s, I was like, dude, this is unsustainable. I moved out to Alberta. I'm like, I saw what they were doing with the real estate. I'm like, this is going to collapse. They're like, no, this is going to be good. I'm like, no, it's not. The government is doing. I said, we watched this happen in Japan during the 80s, where they had this. They were basically lending money for nothing, and then one day they were like, yeah, we need to recall those loans, and the interest rate went up, and everything went.
Correct. Correct.
And that's what's going to happen here.
Yep, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. People are just, it really
It's
is.
just that reset's going to happen, you know, and lots of people are going to lose jobs.
It's happening already.
Yeah, lots of people are going to lose houses, and then it's going to have to cycle back, where people are going to have to go and fight back. Because you're going to get pushed, and even normal people just don't want anything to do with anything, which I understand, they're great people, because you need these people on earth. These people are they're just happy just to exist and be a family man or a person like that, but they're going to get pushed to start to stand up and fight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not just the front runners. It's going to be these people now. They're going to go, well, do you know what? This is getting to a point, a boiling point now. My kids can't do this. Kids can't do that. Kids can't live here. Kids can't get that. My health care for my kids. I had to wait 10 hours at the hospital for my kids. It's going to crack people, right? The normal person, and they're the ones that are going to be fighting back.
Well,
they're the ones you need.
But what they want people to do is they want people to overreact.
Yeah.
They don't want certain people to have voices that will be able to guide people in the right way on how to navigate these things.
Yeah.
They want people to go overboard.
Yeah.
Right? Because if the people snap and go overboard, then they can start implementing things like martial law, use the Emergency Measure Act, and start rounding people up in a very bad way.
Yeah.
And so they don't want the right voices to teach people how to use this, because even if you're going to fight, and you know this, if you get someone angry in the ring, it's over for them.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as they lose control, it's over.
Yeah.
And if you can't teach somebody that mental discipline
Yep.
in order to navigate extremely stressful situations, they're just going to pop off, and that's what they're hoping for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, even myself, like, I don't have any formal, like, fighting training. I only did a little bit of Taekwondo when I was younger, but even though if I needed to put someone on the floor, I could, like a female, not a man, obviously, because I understand and respect the difference in size and power and strength. But if I needed to, like, fight a girl, like, I could without a problem. Like, I've never sat in front of a female and been like, oh, I'm scared of you. Like,
No.
But the point is that I understand whatever someone is trying to do, like if they're trying to push me into a certain outcome, if I don't keep my cool and maintain like a proper thought process of what I need to do to get the, you know, my desired result, or one that, you know, creates a positive end result for everybody, then I'm going to screw myself and the person across from me, regardless of what their intention is. I need to be focusing on how to improve the overall environment for everyone around me, or else I'm going to be screwed. So it's like, people, even if you can fight, a lot of the times you can be put into situations where someone is going to go with your natural tendency and give you the opportunity to fight so that they can screw you over.
Yes.
Because they know you have the ability. And that's even more twisted, I think. So it's like you gotta have, like my dad said, the discipline and that, you know, that understanding mentally, like how to keep your cool and just know how to read the situation.
People around you, like you've got your dad to tell you these things and keep you grounded too over the years as you're growing up, right? Because if you were to watch, I don't know, movies, etc. Movies lately, you know, it's nuts. I watched something recently. It's BBC, would you believe? And I didn't realise till afterwards. And it was just, if it's superhero stuff, whatever, right? I don't really watch that. But the point being is, it was a lady actress, and she was like 5'2", 110 pounds, and she took out the SAS on her own. She never had any training. And the problem is, it was portrayed on media afterwards that, you know, you should learn to protect yourself against these sort of individuals. That's not the message though, because this girl's took on 20 SAS soldiers, right? That's not what we're looking at, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at a different scenario there completely, but they use this television series as a propel, and they spent millions and millions of dollars on women's self-defense with this, right?
Yeah.
To learn these ridiculous moves. And I was just like, you know, the best thing to do is run and call 911.
Yes.
Yeah, honestly, okay, I really love that you said that, because I was going to ask, because every time people tell me over the years all the time, like in all the different scenarios that I've been in, like, and I've been in some very dangerous situations as a survivor of trafficking, but I tell people all the time that the things that help me stay alive the most, obviously God for sure, but respect for my father, and also trying to avoid situations, like keeping boundaries, like putting yourself, like you said, call the police. I've done that. calling my father and putting him on the phone like, hey, please help me de-escalate the situation.
Yeah.
And he would straight up talk to somebody. And men, for some reason, I don't know why. I think
but look at the size of him. I don't want him knocking on my door. The size of the door.
Men will see it. My dad said that men see consequences when a man is talking to him.
story.
He knows that they're going to, he's telling him how he's going to give him consequences. So the man is going to be like, I need to leave and regroup or whatever. But women, we can't do that.
It is true, actually, that sometimes you've got to look at the situation ahead. Right? I'm not saying you can see the future.
Yes.
Well, I'm not going to go there today because I think this could happen, right?
Yes.
But if you're going to put yourself in that position, expect these consequences. I'm not
Right.
saying you deserve them in any way, of course not. That's not what I'm getting at. But sometimes you hear about these cases where you just go, oh, what were you doing there? You know? So when I left school, when I left school at 16, I was basically like this T-boy, right, for these lawyers, right?
Yeah.
And it was an office job. I just came out of school, didn't know what to do, right? And I remember I was about 17. I went into this courtroom, and those days I had to photocopy books. Nowadays you just go like, that's done, right? But I had to photocopy all these books for this lawyer, right? Yeah. And then, this page is too dark. I had to press it. Do you remember those days? Do you remember them? Yeah. I had to bind them all anyway. So then I had this lawyer, and he said, okay, come to court with me. And I sat in court with him, and there was this judge. And the case beforehand was this young lady that got raped. It was a terrible story. And then it brought out what she wore, right? And it was literally next to nothing. Literally next to nothing. And the judge went, listen, I'm going to sentence the guy, but why are you at 3 a.m. in the street in London wearing that? Like, what are you doing? And I understood his point, right? And it came out in the press those days, like 30 years ago, whatever. It came out in the press. But he didn't mean any harm in it. He just said, you're putting yourself in that position at 3 a.m, wearing next to nothing, basically everything hanging out, right? In one of the most dangerous places in London. I'm not saying you deserve for what happened. It's disgusting, and he's going to get sentenced. But you got to use your brain.
Protect yourself, kind of.
Yeah.
This is what I hear all the time. Well, no, he shouldn't do that. Well, no, he shouldn't do that. But do we live in a perfect world?
No.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
We know that there are people that are going to do wrong no matter what you do. So you have to sit down and say, should I do this with the risk? Is this consequence worth what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And then this is what we have to sit down and say, because it's like I could go down dressed in red in where the Crips are, and should they shoot me? No, but chances are I'll get shot because you're wearing the wrong colors. So if I get shot doing that, well, it shouldn't have happened, but they're going to be like, well, why did you do that?
Yeah, women today have the mentality that I should be able to take my young child to the park full of pedophiles and not have my child get raped. And also the kid is wearing also nothing. So it's like, I do understand that as well, because you need to have boundaries to protect yourself. And this is how my dad raised me personally, that you might have your rights and you might have value as a human being, but you can't trust that someone else is going to come and give you that same respect that you're going to give the other person. You have no idea who you're dealing with or who you're sitting across from. Especially women don't know how to read men the way that men read the actions of men. So when we go and put ourselves in the situation, we're not even thinking of a lot of that stuff, you know? So it's like it doesn't come to our mind, which is why we have to do a lot of things to take precautions and measures, like not putting yourself out at night at 3 a.m. or, not dressing in a certain way that's going to lure in vile people to you, because I've heard a lot of men say that they can tell just by speaking to a woman what kind of man she has around her. Like if she has a father, if she has a boyfriend, the way that she presents herself. Like I've had men tell me on the street, I can tell what men you have in your life. And I'm like, well, I never said anything about that. They're like, you didn't have to. Or they'll tell me, I know your dad is a great guy. And I'm like, well, a woman would never be able to speak to someone and tell them that because we just don't think that way.
Because when you see a woman that has had a father, you can tell the way that she's going to make her decisions. And when a woman has a man in her life, you can see she's calm and she doesn't have that chaos.
Right.
That's
This is why some guys go after married women, because married women seem sane.
That's crazy.
No, I'm not even joking.
No, but
It's wrong. Yeah. Because the man has to be able to do that with a woman that he's dealing with. But when a woman's in a stable relationship, she will have a calmness and a relax and be more rational than a woman who isn't, because she's got more chaos in her life. Because men and women, they're both designed to work together. A man that has somebody in his life, he will also be more focused and relaxed. I had a guy that said, I only hired you because you had a kid, because I only hired married men because you got responsibility.
Makes a lot of sense though. You know what, I discovered that a few years ago. I spoke to a person who doesn't have kids, and again, there's nothing against people that don't have kids, but when you do speak to a father that has kids, they have the experience of bringing up kids. They have, hey, I'm not number one anymore.
No.
Right? So that way, you know, when you employ these people, or you work with these people, or partner up these people, it's a different responsibility you're going to be working with, right?
Right.
When they don't have that, oddly enough, strangely enough, some of these guys that I know will then advise me on how to bring up kids. And I'm if I had a kid, you know, he'd be fighting out of diapers, he'd be fighting out of nappies, right? And I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll be telling him what to eat, and I'll be telling him this, and I'll be doing this, and I'll be like, You know, like that, yeah.
Wait till you have till you have a kid.
Yeah, I know. Insane. I'll be feeding him this, doing him that, and I'll be doing that. I'll be listening. I'm like, all right, okay. Yeah.
It's like kids are different, man, and I remember I asked my cousin, I'm like, so what's it like to be a father? Because he had kids before me, and he's like, I don't know, I can't explain it. As soon as I had my daughter, it's like, now I understand.
Yeah.
Right?
How many kids have you got?
Two.
Yeah.
Both girls.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, like, I always wanted to have a boy first, and then God gave me a girl first, and I was like, oh, sweet Jesus. But then I had to learn, because, you know, with a boy, you understand, but with a girl, I'm like, I don't know the first thing about being a woman, so I had to just learn from her.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you know, having to learn that way, it changed things the way I thought about things. Like, I grew up with 5 women, but having to raise a daughter was a completely different ballgame, right?
Yeah, it was a headache.
She would get up at like ungodly times in the morning, and she would start talking to me. And I'm like
4 a.m. Dad.
I'm like,
We like our silence, don't we? That's the truth.
yes, it's like a bear coming out of hibernation. I don't know where I'm coming or going. I need quiet, but then she's like talking to me, and I'm like,
There's this comedian, I'll send it to you, right? He's called Mickey Flanagan. He's from sort of the area that I grew up from, and he just talks about, I mean, he does say some funny things, but he talks about men and his wife, and it's like, the wife will catch her husband doing fuck all, right? But they just sit there, right? And then, what are you doing? And then obviously we'll have to make up something that we're doing something. but we like sometimes just silence, don't we?
Yes.
Doing fuck all. But with women, that's not the case, is it? It's completely different.
Because silence to women is interpreted as hatred or
I get that,
animosity.
but for us, I just want to sit there and just gaze outside, smoke a cigar or something, have a little drink, and not be disturbed. Even if it's... See, I get up super early, right?
yes.
I get up super early, so I like getting up 5 a.m. Sometimes
On the beach, just
That's
sit there
it.
and watch the waves roll in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but only for a short time. I have to do stuff. There's no
Yes.
denying I have to do stuff throughout the day. But sometimes we just need that thing.
Yes.
You know, just that little silence bit. And without going into too much detail, but it's the same with the washroom. I just sit there for a bit, right? I can't be rushed. In the shower, I can't be rushed. I need that little moment to myself, right? Because I know the rest of the day is going to be hectic, right? Don't disturb me in that time.
Just need that time to recharge. That's
exactly.
how we recharge. Women talk to vent or to
process.
We don't. We need to think.
We do.
So that's that's good though. But I mean, this has been a good conversation. I mean, there's
Thank you very much.
No, thank
lots
you.
going on. I think that we really need to focus on what's happening today. I mean, our country needs to go in a very different direction.
Very quickly it has.
Yeah.
Okay, very quickly.
Yeah, it does.
It wasn't. I mean, I arrived here 7 years ago, and it is different from 7 years ago.
Yeah,
You've
for
been
sure.
here literally all your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've seen a dramatic change. But again, that is, of course, places change. But I've never seen, it's the same in the UK, is where I left.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful place to grow up in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
And 2002, 2003, it just went, but it just went, and all of a sudden it just went bang.
Yes.
And then when I came here, I love it. It's a bit, listen, where I live, Bragg Creek, you know this, Redwood Meadows, fantastic place for kids and growing up and all that sort of thing, and get the outdoor life. And I'm trying to show all the kids into that.
Yes.
Right? But when I was in Calgary, I was like, oh, this really changed. COVID changed everything, didn't it?
Oh, yes,
Come on now.
it did.
It changed it. As soon as COVID finished, I was like, well, hold on a second. I know people's opinions changed, and there seem to be big divides amongst all different types of things, whether it's race, religion, all those type of things. But I just saw like a flood of like refugees come in too, right? And again, government's full, but they must have like been planning that all the way through COVID. They're going to change shit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think COVID really what I'm saying about COVID was it became very apparent during COVID what they're doing, because people were on their phones or media and seeing every fine detail as well before COVID. I'm not saying people weren't on social media, but they were just on their phone maybe an hour a day, 2 hours. But during COVID, it was like everyone was on their phone 10 hours.
Yeah.
And it was like nuts. And the algorithms and all that shit that we talked about, lockdown, it was nuts, right?
And so they were able to basically shape the narrative. Like I told people, I said, somebody's asking about what the Matrix is. They hear men talking about.
Yeah.
And I said, our society is so contrived, and especially after COVID, it's so manipulated. I said, go read the book Propaganda by Edward Bernays in Engineering Consent, and you will see our society today.
Yeah.
Wow.
100%. Yeah. And with social media, a small amount of people can control a large amount of people in an unprecedented manner.
Yeah.
Right? And so when they can manipulate people's ideas and thoughts and so forth, because you look at, watch the algorithms, you watch, and they start pushing certain things, and then this becomes the rage. They've got people paying people to say certain things to push content. Like, for example, that thing with Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
That's nonsense.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean,
sit down and say, oh, well, this is
my jeans are blue or something.
Like, are you crazy? I'm like, the world's burning down and you care about that?
I know.
I was more concerned with the fact that she was being very explicit in the video and children would see it, as opposed to the actual comment of the jeans, because it's like everyone's sliding by that. But if it was a transgender person who was doing what she was doing, they'd be like, oh, this is so inappropriate. It's inappropriate regardless. It's immodest, and a child is going to see it, and they shouldn't have to be exposed to something like that.
That's just their children are seeing it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I don't like at schools, when they bring in that at schools. You know, they bring a drag queen in to 8-year-olds. No, it shouldn't be allowed, right? You want a kid to be a kid. You want a kid to play with toys and stuff, right? I don't want them to know what's going on in Russia or Ukraine or the Middle East. I don't want them to know that 8 years old. I don't want my sons to know that. No. I want them outside on their bikes. I want them jumping over things and, get a scratch on their arm or, those sort of things that kids should be doing. I'm talking about, because I don't have daughters, I only have boys, right? So I'm talking about boys' things. But that's what I want my boys to do, right?
Yes.
Right? And I don't want them to be polluted by that crap. But if you go on these, you let them on YouTube, you let them on the Netflixes and stuff, you got to be careful what they're watching.
Oh yeah.
Because these messages, even on kids shows,
are bad.
Like Bluey, whatever. Is it called Bluey? You've seen it on Disney? It's a Bluey. It's called. I think it's Bluey, and it talks about, and this is aimed at 3-year-olds.
Yes.
It's aimed, and it says about a different kid at school, and basically saying that this little bird thing is a transgender. Yeah. Right? At school. A 3-year-old. Yeah. Right? They don't need to know none of that.
No, they're pushing that everywhere, and you're seeing this happening everywhere. And I was actually talking with a guy, his name is Alvin Louis, he does Courage as a Habit, and he was talking about how they use the transgender indoctrination in the schools. Yeah. Right? And he outlined that they use the same tactics as child sex traffickers.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
And but then you have
it's grooming.
These big companies pushing pornography into the hands of children.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is
and the sexual education.
Which is now you're grooming children in a way that makes them feel good, but it's just as damaging as if they've been molested.
Yeah.
And then it's wiring them to accept certain things. It's wiring the girls to be a certain way and the boys to be a certain way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they only talk about the way that it affects boys, but they don't talk about what happens to the girls when they become hypersexualized. Because it's far more damaging when the girls are hypersexualized to boys, because the best way to destroy a man is to use a woman.
Yeah, they'll go around just doing it.
Yeah, and it's like they'll have a man that no one can beat, but they'll send in a woman, that woman will
or
destroy
multiple.
the man.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. And then now the girls want respect from men, but they're commodifying themselves. Men are not designed to value a woman who sells herself. A man will give himself and his life to a woman. He doesn't want it to be a transaction.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, it's true. And it's very much, as you'll see, in recent relationships, it's looking more transactional than ever.
I know, and it's crazy.
Sad.
I think though, but the fact that we're in such a messed up society right now actually might help push that back a little bit, because like you said, people are going to have to learn to survive on less. And the only ones who are actually going to be able to have proper relationships with people are the ones who are doing genuine relationships, where you actually put the contents of the character before anything else.
That's
because
right.
No one can afford, like I said, even when I was in Toronto, I was working, all I did was work, go to school and eat, and I didn't ever go out or anything, but I still didn't have money. But regardless, it's like we're in a time where the only thing you really can do is appreciate someone for who they are, not what they have. So it's like the ones who are all like, oh, you need to give me all this money and you need to do this and you need to respect me. Men are going to be like, okay, bye. And they're going to start starving. God, I'm sorry, like, for laughing, but it's true. They're going to like starve out, and they're not going to be able to have children or family because they don't realize the value that a man brings just for being a man. Like they bring you so much peace and guidance and leadership. And even the fact that we have, like, I think this is why a lot of us need to actually go back to homeschooling, because the fact that we even have all these women going in these different careers, but it's not giving any women peace. It's not pushing women farther beyond what they are now. They're actually leaving their high white collar and blue collar, whatever kind of jobs, entrepreneurship in all types of fields, to go to OnlyFans, because they're understanding that no matter where they go, the only way that you can get genuine respect from a man is to either have a father or a husband who's standing like beside you or behind you or whatever, that you can be a team with, because men don't respect you in the workplace. You're like a prostitute in the workplace. You go and you serve multiple men, and what men don't realize today is like how you put a naked woman in front of men. That's like putting women in the workforce, because she has to emotionally and mentally serve and respect and submit to multiple men all day, every day. And women are only meant to give that type of submission and respect and emotional and mental fortitude to a man that she's supposed to serve, her family and her husband. So it's like they're being put in the position to fail because they're competing for something that men will never give them. And then when they feel bad enough, it destroys them, like, mentally and emotionally. Then they're like, oh, well, I'll just sell myself.
Yeah, it's a cop out and sell out. There's no hard work or ethics behind it. It's just, well, I could just do this.
Yeah, instead.
You know.
And then they don't get the respect.
That's going to end, though. That's going to end, because there's only a certain amount of people that can actually earn money from that pool. And it's bullshit when they say, oh, I earn 60 grand a year. Well, you might get a handful of women that earn that, right? But really, loads of them are just putting their body in there and probably earning like $100 bucks a month, right? And but they're not, obviously, OnlyFans, their job is to sell the ones that make 100 grand a year, right? 100 grand a month, sorry. They're not those that, but we know that really 98, 99% of those are the ones that, but people jump onto it.
And then they can't get regular jobs.
They wreck their lives from going on to that. For some of them only make 200, 300 bucks a month. But what people don't realize is the way that, I looked at a girl and she was a sex worker, a prostitute, whatever you want to call her, that used OnlyFans. And she talked about the way the structure of OnlyFans was. When I saw that, I said, this is very destructive. They market it like it's more control, but they're giving women a platform which they never had before. And then they're going, when you have women that are promiscuous, that entrap other men, they will make those men weaker. Weak men give women like that what they want, and then they want strong men to look after them. But then the problem that they have is that the strong men that they want, there's less of them around. Even if they give it up, then they want to get to deal with it. You need an exceptionally strong man, because the problem that they're getting is very intelligent women are going into that because they can make money. And then those ones are the ones who can manipulate the men the most. because they're smarter.
But they don't tell you they have men managers who are telling them how to manipulate the men,
That's
because
right.
women don't know how to do that.
I know, but I mean,
Yeah.
they
But really, you'll find that smart man will go, well, you know, I might have some physical activity with you, but we're not going any further.
Yes.
Right? And but they're like, well, I want a real man. Well, the real man's not going to take you.
But
Yeah.
Accept
the
it,
problem is that if you have the smart women going into OnlyFans, then you have the smart men over here, then you're going to have to, they're going to be reproducing with less intelligent
Yeah.
women and not carrying those good genes forward. And
Yeah, I
it's
see what
just,
you're saying. Yeah.
It's just a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
This is why the brakes need to come off it, but eventually, because the amount of weak men that are being pumped out by being addicted to OnlyFans,
Yeah.
you're saying something like
85%.
92 million men in America are on OnlyFans,
Okay.
and most of them are married. Yes.
Yeah, most of them are married.
So you look at that.
It's crazy.
That's a drain of money, and then the money that goes into the women who are from the OnlyFans. Most of those women, when they're done OnlyFans, they're broke.
Yeah.
So they burnt that money,
Yeah.
and it's gone into the void. And then what happens?
Yeah.
It's going to collapse.
Most
Yes.
women don't know how to use money, regardless of what position they're in. This is why I think they put women in certain positions and give them money, because, and I've been, over the last couple of years offered too, like dangling things in front of my face. Oh, I'll give you this, this, and this if you just stop speaking out about this. And I'm like, so you're going to give me money that I don't even know how to use or won't even be able to, because women think money is the solution. But if you've got enemies that like the government shutting your bank account, stealing your house and cars and corporate assets and everything, a woman will think, oh, if I have money, I'm fine, I'm safe. Wrong. Money isn't going to prevent the government from continuing to do that. You need someone who has strategy type thinking, like a man, who can help you mitigate the dangers of that.
Exactly.
So it's like they always...
a unity, right?
Exactly. That's why they always dangle these things in front of women, and then they have those women go out in front of everyone like, oh, well, a woman go get the bag and get this and that. And it's like, okay, she ends up in a body bag at the end of the day a lot of times because of the situations she's putting herself in just to get the money and the respect. It's like...
And then when they put them in that situation, they trap them there.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you're stuck.
And you
Can't get out.
I've talked to women that have gone in that, and they're like, I want to leave and so forth. Like, I talked to women, for example, that were former porn stars. When they saw what was going on with the pedophilia, they were like, I'm out, I can't do this, right? Because they got to that point. But then they make it impossible for them to leave. They're like, I don't want this to go in and harm kids, because women don't think the way that men do when it comes down to cause and effect in a longer term situation.
That's right. Yeah.
They don't. They think more of what's in relation to
face,
them. And the men look at the consequences for things around them, because we're designed to protect our families. So we have to look at the consequences for everyone around us. And so they will trap them into something and get them in this position. And then they will make sure that they can't get out, so that they'll do more damage.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like the people who set this thing up, yes, the woman who did this, they made a wrong choice, but the men who set this up, because they set these traps up for the women that they couldn't see it until they got into it and it was too late.
Yeah, lure them by dollar signs.
They all need, those guys need maximum punishment.
They do.
They do.
Like,
And when the women are smart too, all you have to do is press a woman and make her feel bad or punish her in some capacity, and she's going to do, for the most part, a lot of the times, unfortunately, what you want her to do. So it's like when you put women in these positions and they're also smart and capable, they don't even have to, on the record, say, if you do this, I'll give you this. All they have to do is actually continue to the bell with the dog. Is it Pavel?
Pavlov.
Yeah, Pavlov. Where all they have to do is train her where they keep punishing her, and the only way she gets relieved of punishment is if she goes around punishing other people.
Yes.
And then she becomes very good at it, and it's disgusting.
yes, and where they go after them on social media.
Oh yeah, a lot of those,
Raising daughters and growing up around women, that is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
Like where they're like, we need to shame them. I'm like, no, you don't.
No.
You said you're going to make her into a demon, especially.
Yeah, that's what will
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Trying to repent against those things is very difficult. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially for the females too, right? Because they're more emotional, so they're going to take it on more personally, right?
And
Yes.
if I don't care if a woman wants to get out of that. I don't agree with it, but if she wants to get out of it, do not stop her.
Yeah.
Do not punish her. let her go about her business, let her go and find something else, because if you say that this is destructive, why do you want to push her back into it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like it. I tell people I don't like it. I don't agree with it because a lot of the stuff I see what it's contributing to.
Yeah.
But somebody makes those choices. But if the person wants to leave, let them leave.
Yeah, let them leave.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a criminal. Like people that go to prison. People come out of prison and want to do right. Some people are like, okay. I mean, like I knew a guy. This is a terrible story. It's funny, but it's terrible. He was working on the rigs, and he was drunk with his buddies. Came back. He was at a bank. He lit the corner of an envelope and he put it out. Except it didn't go out. It smoldered and he burned the bank down. He went to jail for 3 years.
Wow.
Yes, because he burnt the bank down, right? It was an accident, he was drunk. He still had to go to jail, right? So that guy's life's finished, right? So now it's hard because he's gone to federal penitentiary. So
I bet even for him to get capital is difficult because the banks won't even accept him to have a bank account, right? After that as well, yeah.
So now, if you get a guy who wants to go and do right, why not support him in doing right? Or do you want him to go back to keep committing crimes?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, I understand you can't get every job, but you shouldn't make it hard for the guy to turn around, and after a certain time they should go out and allow them, because they say they did a study with when they used to have the pardons, they changed it to record suspension. But they found that a person who went out and had a pardon, they committed less crimes than the average person.
Yeah, they have more opportunity to help themselves.
Well, it said they learned from that.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna do that again, right?
Yeah.
And so we need to start looking at those types of things, because people like that who have gone through those situations and have gotten better, they can turn around and help people in those situations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if I can stop it, I don't mind investing money into getting people to do things like that, because those are things that will help people stop committing crimes, just like you get people to stop committing drugs. The people who were in the OnlyFans, the women that were in there, if they want to go and help those women to get out, by all means, I'm for that.
Like you said about Italy, what they were going to do with the rehabilitation, it's like that.
Yeah, makes sense, right?
But that's what we should do here, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, they needed bags. And we got a lot of empty small towns anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Big country, right?
Second biggest in the world after Russia.
There you go.
Yes.
So.
Anyway, I think we should probably wrap up.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you again
and
for
my mouth is dry.
It's a hot gym, that's for sure.
Yeah, we can do this again. I think.
Yeah, definitely. There's lots to talk about.
Do you want to tell people where they can reach you and how they can help you?
Yeah, just my Kieran Keedle Academy. I've got 2 locations, one in Bragg Creek, one in Cochrane. And if you want to follow me on all the other socials, just Kieran Keedle. There you go.
All right, and I'll close here with a prayer, and then I'll give my daughter her final thoughts before we go. Yeah. All right. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you have given us this day. And Father, I ask of you to watch over the men and the women, help them to come to work together, and help men that we would lead in a godly way to rebuild our families, our churches, our community, our nation, that we could have some protection from the children from all this filthy wickedness that we're seeing in the world this day. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, guys, for tuning in today, and thank you again, Sir Kieran, for joining us. Kieran.
Yep,
sorry,
Kieran. It's all right, don't worry.
I hope you guys go check out his socials. We'll have them linked down below. This is a pretty cool gym here. It's a beautiful area. I think you should come check it out. Like I said, I used to live down here, actually, my dad and I, when I was younger, and I did some Taekwondo. Come check out the gym. Also, go check out 2 Pints with Rory. That's where I initially saw Kieran's podcast with him. That's Rory Sinot. So shout out to Rory there. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the show and learned something. These are all topics that are very important that we all need to consider going forward with our families and our communities. And yeah, I think we all just need to take a little bit more time to take action for the things that we want to see, if that makes sense. So anyways, thanks guys for your time and considerations. We'll check you in the next one. And to my dearest Karis, until we meet again, my friend, and we will. Ciao.